What's up, everyone? Back with another video. This time we are going to look at Bowman Investing and what some of the top superstars and top prospects prices have done in the last year. I have seen a lot of things on the internet where people tell you who you should be buying, who you shouldn't, people who think that prospecting is the way to go, people who think it's a waste of money, etc. Obviously, there's no right or wrong answer. A lot of people like to invest their money in different ways, and there are strategies that work for everyone. But for the sake of this, we are talking about cards you are buying strictly from an investing standpoint. I think that we all have personal collections. I know that I do. There are cards in my PC that I bought because I love the player and I don't care if the card goes up or down in value. But there's another portion of my card collection whose sole purpose is to make money. And I think a lot of people's collections also work that way. People who know me know that I'm big into prospecting. I post about prospects on Twitter pretty religiously. And without fail, I will get people who chime in to tell me that I'm going to feel like an idiot in 5 years when all of these prospects suck. And I could have put my money into established superstars, which is a fair point. So out of curiosity, I looked at some of the biggest names in baseball and collecting in general, along with the top few prospects from 2022 who made their MLB debut within the last year to see what their card values have done. I'm going to use PSA 10 first Bowman base autos for the pricing on all this. And you'll see in the bottom right that this is over the last calendar year. So let's get into some of the numbers. All right, let's start with Juan Soto. You'll see current market and alt value a year ago. Now, I know a lot of people don't trust alt's market value, but I did when I went back to their 1 year ago today. I sifted through, some completed sales, some paid sales, to make sure that alt value wasn't too far off. For some of the guys, I actually adjusted it to make it closer to what the cards were selling for. So don't think that these numbers are made up because these were real sales. You'll see current market about $2,300 for a Juan Soto. A year ago, $6,380, which means that over the last year, that is a 177.4% loss. And if you had invested $10,000 into Juan Soto first Bowman autos, base autos, you'd be down about $6,400. But that's just one guy. We'll go to the next one. Wander Franco, another one. Juan Soto dipped because he played bad. Wander Franco got hurt. Still similar story. Current market on his first auto, PSA 10, about $1,200. A year ago, about $3,500. Almost a 200% loss. If you had been holding that Wander Franco card for a year, if you had invested $10K in his first autos, you'd be down pretty similar, even more, down $6,600. Ronald Acuna Jr., his market's heating back up. I believe his last PSA 10 first auto went for about $2,400, if I got it right. A year ago, $3,900, not that down as bad as the other guys, but still 64.4% loss over a year. Almost 4K would have been lost if you had 10 grand invested in a Ronald Acuna first Bowman autos. Fernando Tatis, we know, in this time span got popped for steroids, so that has to do a lot with this, but he's climbing back up as well. His current market's about similar to Acuna's. His first Bowman autos are going for about the same. A year ago, $4,245. So he's down more than Acuna. He's down 76.9%. And again, if you had $10,000 invested in these first Bowman Auto 10s, you'd be down $4,300 on your investment. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., no scandals, no cheating, no serious injury like Wander. And you'll see here his current market value is still about $2,200. It was $3,800 a year ago, also down 72.7%. Same thing, $10,000 invested in that specific card would have lost you about $4,200. We'll get into the prospect side. Gunnar Henderson. Obviously, these prices are a lot lower. Current market on a PSA 10 auto has $255. A year ago, $210. 17.7% gain. $10,000 invested would have netted you $2,000 in profit. The most impressive thing about this is that Gunnar Henderson is having a terrible year by most people's standards. Most people were expecting him to come out, light the world on fire, win AL Rookie of the Year. He's actually off to a very poor start, and his cards are still up from where they were a year ago before he debuted. Corbin Carroll, cards haven't moved much, up about 1.8%. He's stayed pretty stagnant like this whole time. He's been a great rookie, but his cards really aren't moving at all. Anthony Volpe, current market a little over 1,1000. A year ago when he was in the minors, 860. That's a 14.9% gain over the last year. You would have made $1,700 if you had invested $10K into his cards. Again, I know he's got the Yankee tax. He's popular, but he's batting like 215, I think, 220. So not exactly lighting the world on fire. Cards are still up. They can't all be winners. We'll see Jordan Walker here. His PSA 10 is about a $1,000 card now. It was about a $1,300 card a year ago today, which would be about a 28% loss, which would have lost you about $2,000 on a 10K investment. So let's get into kind of, comparing this all together. This is going to be the 1 year percentage. You'll see all the superstars that I listed now. I know a lot of the guys, Ohtani, Trout, a lot of them. I know a lot of people, their argument to this will be, Mahomes and Ohtani are bulletproof because they're going to be legends. And I think that's true to some extent, but if you look at this, their cards also go up and down. I know a lot of people who have lost a lot of money on Ohtani just simply buying it at the wrong time. But these are just kind of the five that came to my mind, off the top of my head. You'll see the Soto, Wander, Acuna, Fernando Tatis, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. all down, anywhere from 65 to almost 200% on the Wander Franco. You look at the prospects. Now, I use the prospects that only debuted within the last year. People might ask, J-Rod's down. Why didn't you use him for your example? His debut was over a year ago, and the reason I wanted the debut within the last year, we're going to get into shortly, and you'll see why. But you'll see all those prospects, other than Jordan Walker, who was recently demoted, their cards are up from a year ago today. And if you look at the 10K invested, that is the amount that you'd be up today, or the amount that you'd be down today if you had invested $10,000, again, in their PSA 10 first base autos only. You'll see a lot of those superstars, you're losing, $4,000, $6,000. It's pretty wild to look at this way. We go on to the next slide here. This is the big point. This is the if you sold that call up. Now you see Gunnar Henderson, he's still up from a year ago, but if you had sold when he got called up, I'm gonna break it down into how much you would have made, on a $10,000 investment on one of the next slides, but $725 his first auto was going for when he got called up, and that was in late August. So you're looking at the 1 year mark. That was a $210 card in May of last year, and by August of last year it was a $725 card. Corbin Carroll, he went up a little bit. His prices seem to be way more steady than Gunnar Henderson's. A lot of these guys go up and down. Corbin Carroll stays pretty steady. Volpe, his call-up was, 2 months ago maybe? That card was doing $1,600 the week that he got called up. It's the price hike is crazy. Jordan Walker, he's down. You would have made a little bit of money selling him at call-up from where he was a year ago. And you see he's about $400 higher than what he is now, and that was the span of, again, just when the season started, he's down that much because of the demotion and everything. So you kind of see that call-up spike there. Here's the 10K invested thing. So these are the numbers from earlier. If you had invested $10,000 into these guys' autos a year ago versus where they would be today. But if you had bought them a year ago and sold them all the day that they got called up, those are the numbers you'd be looking at. Gunnar Henderson, you saw, it was a $210 card last May. If you had bought $10,000 worth, which I don't know the PSA population off the top of my head. I don't even know that it's possible. But if you had done it, you would have made $24,000 in profit selling him the day that he got called up, which is outrageous. Anthony Volpe, you would have made, $8,600. Jordan Walker, $1,100. Corbin Carroll, $1,600. The point is that if buying and selling is all about timing, right? Do it at the right time. Sure, these prospects, they might not be good pros. You'll see if you had held Jordan Walker thinking he's going to be a great pro, he gets demoted, you lost money. But if you sell these guys when they get called up, you almost always can't lose. And I don't like to say can't lose because it's possible, but you look at the numbers here. We'll go to the next one. Let's say hypothetically, someone told you Juan Soto, Wander Franco, Ronald Acuna Jr., Fernando Tatis, and Vladimir Guerrero are the best bets in baseball. And you put $10,000 into all of their first Bowman autos. You would have put $50,000 in a year ago. You would have lost half of your money in the last year. you would be down over $25,000. If you would put $10,000 each into those 4 prospects, you'd have $40,000 in. You'd be up a little bit, nothing crazy. You'd be up, you see they're close to $2,000. And that's assuming that you're still holding. Most important part, look at the bottom one. If you had bought $10,000 each of all of those prospects and sold all of their cards when they got called up, you would have netted almost $36,000 off of a $40,000 investment. I'm going to get into, like what that means later, but it's just crazy when you look at the numbers that way. Like I said, what's this mean? Am I saying you should never buy cards of Juan Soto and Ronald Acuna and all those guys? Absolutely not. What I am saying, and this should be the biggest takeaway from all this, is that making money in baseball cards has a lot more to do with the when than it does the who. Okay? Making money in cards is about knowing when to buy and knowing when to sell. All of these superstars have moments throughout this past year where their cards dip. Wander Franco, one of them, he's coming back up. Acuna coming back up. They have moments where they dip and they're a good buy. It's all about timing. But to suggest, blindly buying the best players in baseball because they're the best players in baseball and holding their cards is the best investment, it's flat out wrong. And I hear people give that advice almost daily. A year ago, if you looked at any card group, who are the safest investments in baseball, what were 95% of the answers? Soto, Acuna, Tatis. And then look at the numbers I just gave you. You have to buy and sell at the right moments. It has way more to do with making money than individual results. Even if you look at some of the bigger Twitter accounts that buy and sell high-end, we'll say football, whose cards do you see moving the most personally? Is it, the steady veterans who are above average that are, great pros? Because for me personally, this offseason, I think the 2 quarterbacks that I've seen the most cards of bought and sold are probably Jordan Love and Sam Howell. And do you think people that are buying them because they think they'll have a better career than Aaron Rodgers? God, no. No, that's not even, no one thinks that. They're buying them because as their hype builds, their cards will go up and then they can sell them probably before they even start a game this year if they do it right, So you can save for baseball, you save the whole, that prospect probably won't even be a good pro. It doesn't matter. This is one of the things that I find hardest to explain to people about investing in prospects. The comparisons are not apples to apples. You cannot say, well, Manny Machado's card goes for the same price as this prospect's card. So the only way for this card to ever be worth more than it is today is if this prospect has a better career than Manny Machado. Wrong. Horrendous comparison. I see it happen daily. It's just terrible. We all get so analytical that the only way your brain can compare card prices is through direct comparison. And it's just not how any of it works. It's the old phrase I like to use, buy the hype, sell the news. A player's card prices are more related than you realize to their hype. I posted a tweet one time about a prospect's card prices, and someone replied, possibility intoxicates. And it made me laugh, but also yeah, that's what it is. When you're wondering how it's possible that prospect cards are worth the same as a Manny Machado or a Bryce Harper or a Paul Goldschmidt, you got to know that these players, for the most part, have already hit their career ceiling. And when you're a great player at age 30, 32, nobody cares I shouldn't say nobody. Most people don't care anymore. Obviously a lot of people PC them because they're great players, and I'm okay with that. I actually own some of their cards myself, but it's just the nature of the business. When you look at those players, off the top of my head, do you know when the next time you will see their cards go up, drastically in price? Like A, when they win an MVP, B, when they retire, and C, if and when they get elected into the Hall of Fame. That's what you're looking for when their card prices raise. Maybe we'll throw in a D and E of they win a World Series or they get to a milestone like 3,000 hits. Other than that, those cards are going to be relatively stagnant. Those players hit their ceiling. Their popularity does not grow on a daily basis, and they don't get talked about enough. But go look at Twitter. Who does get talked about? I know personally my baseball feed is how many hits did Jackson Holiday get yesterday? Jackson Holiday got promoted from low A to high A. Jackson Holiday goes 1 for 3, and somehow it's newsworthy. We don't know what he'll be, but we're excited to find out. And not only will you see prospects' card prices go up each time they get promoted, they go up each time they get hot for a week or two. And as you saw with the stats that I showed, they especially go up the day that they get called up. So, we're not paying the same for a Drew Jones auto that we are for a Paul Goldschmidt auto because we think Drew Jones will have a better career. We're paying it because we understand that there are more opportunities for the value of his cards to go up so that we can make money. And we're paying for it because he has not yet hit his ceiling. Your hype is it's all you've got in this industry. You look at the drastic drop in Jordan Walker cards simply because he got demoted. Once people stop talking about you, even for a week, your cards lose value. And nobody is excited. No one's as excited for a veteran to bat 300 and hit 30 homers for the 15th year in a row as they are to see what an 18-year-old kid is going to do in low A. I can't explain to you why that is, but it's probably because the veterans do that year in and year out, and it's expected. But the young guys, who knows what they'll do? Because, like I said, possibility intoxicates.